Hello and welcome to Urban Legends, the hit internet podcast about urban legends and other similar topics. I'm Chris Flynn and I'm one of the good ones.
Am I going to
And with
comment on
me,
that?
as always, is another one of the good ones. Hashtag not all Neils. It's Mr.
Neil Herbert.
I Neil, how you
That's
doing?
a
Did
bit
you?
of fun, Chris, isn't it? Hey?
It was a bit of fun, wasn't it?
Oh,
It was a bit of fun for people who
for the
are
listeners, now this is a
for
podcast,
the people
technically.
who are watching with their ears.
Yep.
I put a ring light above my head to represent my saintliness.
Aren't you glad you missed that, listeners? Hmm?
Oh, I wish I had.
Hey.
Massive. Can't pedal it back now, Neil. I've done it. It's been done.
It's been
And
done. Yep.
as we always say, we're not editing it, and whatever we do goes out because we are artists.
Exactly. No, you got to go with the flow.
I should probably put the mic in front of me as well, shouldn't I?
That's not a bad idea, is it? Have it turned the right
Oh,
way around.
I'm all over the shop. It's because we're having an early start, aren't we? Early morning.
Oh, it's.
Ooh, up with the
I was going to say
larks.
it's 12 on a Sunday. No, it's 1 o'clock. That's pretty early for us.
Oh, it's very early now.
I was up
Barely,
abusing fentanyl and.
I barely had time to fit in my protocols this morning. Um, what about you? Like, so I'll go through some of my protocols if you like, and then
Go for it.
so
I don't have any. I just live life zen, just one day at a time, 1 second at a time,
one
one
second,
mile at a time.
nothing,
Like Vin Diesel in Fast and the Furious.
nothing is permanent,
Yeah,
nothing is forbidden.
exactly.
So my protocols. First thing, try and get up before I go to bed. Saves a lot of time
Yeah,
because you've
definitely.
got that sleeping. Right.
Not bad precepts. Yeah.
Yep. So two raw
Do you and
eggs.
Marky Mark come up with these?
I wasn't. So, do you know what? Like everyone, I was inspired
Of course, yeah. He
by
couldn't,
him.
we wouldn't inspire
I keep a
him,
couple of.
Einstein, Gandhi, and Joe Rogan. Yeah, those are my. Oh, that'd be my ideal dinner party.
Would it? Oh, lovely. I mean, Joe Rogan, Gandhi, similar, and who was the other one?
Einstein,
Einstein. Yeah.
Weinstein. Yeah.
None of them very good on the old female issue. To be fair.
No,
um.
yeah.
So yeah,
I've shown my blind spot there. Haven't
I think everyone had picked up on it.
Yeah, fair
Um,
enough.
so I keep in my bedside drawer just hen's eggs, and
Yeah.
so I crack two of them in.
Well, as opposed to rooster eggs,
No, as opposed to duck eggs
duck eggs. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
or ostrich eggs, which
Yeah.
I know you prefer in your
Hotel
flint
Chocolat doing
in
us.
your in your Flintstones style
Well,
cupboards.
look, if you're gonna have an omelette, why crack 3 or 4 eggs at once? You can just use one. That's why I say.
Well, I'd question why you
I don't
still
know.
use three or four.
Yeah, fair enough.
Lovely big omelette. Souffle as big as your house.
Nice. That's what you want.
Oh, Jack,
I have at least 3 eggs in an omelette, haven't you?
Neil and the giant souffle. You could that could be a Roald Dahl book, couldn't it?
Yeah.
You've got like two horrible aunts, you know, because Roald Dahl's another one. You've got two
Yeah.
horrible aunts, right?
Yeah, he had
Because
some unfortunate views.
your parents died in a steam train crash.
Yeah, they were flattened by the
But
Scottish rover. I
the
don't know
Scottish
whatever that's.
Rover,
Is it the Flying Scotsman? Is
the
that the
famous overnight train
yeah,
from Dundee to Plymouth.
yeah. To Aberystwyth.
The Scottish Rover.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got, and then you get out, like how you try and kind of escape reality is by cooking, and you get really good at souffles. And then one day you come across the magical ostrich, and you make,
Its eggs are so light, I can use a souffle to then take across the world.
yeah, you get in the souffle
Yeah,
and it takes off, and
takes
then
off. Yeah,
inside you meet like loads of lovely egg-based characters like Colin Yoke
yeah,
and Mr. Albumin
yeah.
and Shelley McShells and a pro team
Monsieur Luf.
who's like a professional teenager
Yeah,
like Matthew Perry or something.
yeah. And the albumin.
And you fly all the way to Moscow
Yeah,
where you're shot
and
down.
defect. Yeah, shut down.
Yeah, you shot down,
Defect.
you defect.
And all of my egg based
And you
friends
end
are
up and you
going
end
in a show trial on
and you end up running a steel factory in Siberia, and
Become
eventually
quite good mates with Khrushchev.
you end up coming back and buying Brentford Football Club.
Yeah,
It's a great book. I
it's
like
a
it.
hell of a story. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, back to my protocols, Neil.
Right. Yeah.
Eggs. Eggs for the pegs. Because the next thing I do is I go on a 14-mile run
Okay. Yeah. That'd be good. Good
on
for
the
you.
spot. I say go
Right.
for, I just do it on the spot
Spot. Yeah.
because, I can't, I
Like
don't have
flash
time.
dance or
I
something.
do it
Just yeah.
while I do it while reading the Financial Times.
Okay. Yeah.
And then,
Brain and body being worked out maximally there,
yeah, exactly. It's like when you want to,
and your investments as well, of course.
it's like the Trident system for defeating illness,
Yeah.
which is body, mind, and medicine. So that's a trademark.
Yeah. Good.
To nuke your illness.
Yeah. Got it.
Um, so yeah, do that. Run on the spot. Call my stockbroker, who's you,
Yeah.
as you know. You hate it because it's about 2 in the morning, but
Yeah.
that's when the Nike index opens. Get my stocks done. Pray. You've got to pray. We've got to pray just to make it today. Stick on the MC Hammer. Have a dance.
Nice.
Nice hot bath. Get up. Couple more eggs. 5 minutes with the kids. Rest of the day golfing. That's it. Do you
Recipe
like?
to success. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, well, I mean, I'm doing pretty well. Things have turned around for me, haven't they? You'd have to say.
You'd have to say, yeah.
You'd have to say that.
Yeah, because I'm legally
Legally,
obligated to say, yeah.
you're legally obligated to say it. So, Neil, that's all my nonsense used up for now, and we are on
Quite
the
enough of it.
clock. We are
We
on
are
the
on a
clock
clock, yeah.
because Neil, don't forget, I know where the bodies are buried, and I'm actually up the woods after this for a nice walk. So,
Oh,
is there
Chris, one
anything
of
you
those
need?
days that you use that threat too much, it's going to come back on you.
Is there anything you
Yeah.
need me to
There's going to
drop
be another
off?
one buried there.
Do you need anything dropped off at the woods? I'm going up there for
Nah,
a
nah,
walk
it's fine.
later. I'm going up to Tide Mills for a nice walk.
Lovely.
Be nice, wouldn't it?
Be all right.
Be nice. Come on then, what are we talking about,
Right, what are
cheeky?
we talking about? So this is kind of like it's urban legend adjacent, but I'll read the first couple
Okay.
of paragraphs. So it's one of those ones where it's based on real life, but it got kind of exaggerated a little bit.
Oh, that's never
Yeah.
happened before.
So the rare kind of urban legend that came out to be true.
And I noticed that you appear to be it's either a subway tunnel or potentially the inner workings of some kind of factory machine.
See if you can work it out where it could be. Could it be a mine or something buried?
No, it's not that.
Yeah, I mean
It's not that.
that might be because the background I wanted to put up didn't work, so I had to
No.
substitute for a generic one. But
Oh, so
it's
mining,
not a
eh?
particularly good clue one. But we're talking about something that's been buried. But we'll get into it. It's the Atari video game burial.
Oh, with the
You might have heard of
Mr.
this.
the
The
extra
extraterrestrial is the one that
extra
often gets
testicle.
blown. The extra testicle, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
have
was
the
hoping to have
landfill.
a an ET background, but
Well, we would have been slapped
we
down by
probably would have. Yeah,
Spielberg.
yeah, we
You know what
probably would have
he's
gotten
like.
taken down. So
We've already
you know, it
we
wouldn't even load up in my background, Chris. That's how.
we're on our.
Tried several times with several different pictures of ET,
Is
and
that
it
is
wasn't
that
having
is
it.
that what the technical issue was?
That
Which
was
is why we
part
started up
of the technical issues. Yeah,
half an hour late
it was why I was
because
half an hour late. Yeah,
it was
you
like
get fucking ETs loaded in my background. No, it was more than that.
it was like one
I'd
of those
delete some
hacker
files.
films where you kept trying to put
Yeah,
ET up and Spielberg was like at the other end going
yeah.
like right, I'm going to release the Trojan into the 4XT. And Neil's going, ha ha ha, but I've got the shield against
Yeah, I
it.
had the setup from War Games. Got that little, that
Yeah,
sweet
the
little
little phone.
rotary phone going onto
Nice.
that two board modem.
Beautiful.
Nice.
I mean, we're on our third strike with Spielberg now, aren't we? Like he's
Yeah, we've got to watch
twice
it.
twice he's asked us. Well, he's made. I'd say asked. It wasn't
Did
really
I mention we
a
love Steven
question.
Spielberg, Chris? You know, 80s, one of
Well,
the greatest films of all time.
I think that Indiana Jones goes from strength to strength.
It certainly does.
And I mean, the first time we were sat down is when you and I dressed as in a much earlier series, we dressed as you dressed as Indy with the
Yeah.
hat, and I was dressed as Short Round, wouldn't I?
I mean, it was problematic for various reasons,
It
wasn't
wasn't.
it?
Wasn't. I hadn't thought it
Look,
through fully.
looking back with
It's just a bit of
hindsight,
fun, but these, you know, this,
that's what we thought. Yeah.
you know, and then we got cancelled for a bit, but you know, it was a simple mistake. Simple mistake. And the second time was, of course, when you claimed to have directed Jurassic Park.
I mean, I went into a fugue state and had some fugue memories. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. But anyway, we're on our third and final strike now. So
We've learnt our lesson, Mr. Spielberg, and we're big
we have
fans.
Mr. Spielberg. We're very sorry.
Yeah. Right.
Schindler's List. Couldn't stop laughing.
God, you say that, but we went to see it. I might have told you this when I was in sixth form.
Hmm.
And our teacher took us along, and it was very harrowing and sort of disgusting at the end, kind of like that. But there was one person at the back. Weirdly enough, it wasn't a bloke. Yeah, it's such a distinctive laugh. No, she obviously thought it was being really edgy to just sit at the back of the cinema and laugh at
Oh
various
wow.
points. It's just kind of embarrassing. Do you know when someone does something trying to be like really like, yeah, this is just inappropriate. Yeah.
Just put Gen Xer.
Pathetic. Actually, yeah, same age as me, so would have been a Gen Xer.
Yeah, there you go, Neil.
Yeah.
There's your answer.
Quite a harrowing movie. Anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, so moving on.
Anyway, moving swiftly
from the
on.
horrors of World War II.
I think that was the third out. The Atari video game burial was a mass burial of unsold video game cartridges, consoles, and computers. Go on.
I had an Atari. I've still got an Atari 2600, which was my first ever computer, which was the one with the lovely wooden panel finish. So I got it. I got it secondhand because
we had a ZX Spectrum.
So I had the Atari when everyone had the Spectrums, and then whenever I moved from Spectrum onto Mega Drive, I went on to a Commodore, a Spectrum, because I got on kind of a generation after until I was making my own money through paper rounding. And then
my granddad had some weird. I don't even know what it was, but it had like about 10 games on it. It was like a
BBC,
Odyssey or something. No, I don't know. I think like back in the early 70s, like there were a bunch of companies just came because
hanging them out. Yeah,
like 70s.
Was it an Amstrad?
There was this boom. No, it wasn't any of those names that you'd think, because I think there were a bunch of companies that just came up and then just went. Like I say, because this was literally you couldn't load games onto it. It was like there was a switch and you'd have 10 in one, and it was things like Pong, like
You used to get those little ones, the building games,
and it was just literally just there was like 10 of those, but you'd plug it into the TV and it just like a little controller, like a little joystick thing.
Yeah,
it was fun when I was a kid.
Hey, darling,
just needed imagination.
Hey, darling, do you want an Amstrad with those apples? That's what Saran and Sugar got his money in it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I can imagine he would forget off some Del Boy character, but yeah. Anyway, so
Atari
video game burial was a mass burial of unsold video game cartridges, consoles, and computers in a New Mexico landfill site undertaken by the company Atari in 1983.
Yeah. Okay.
So before 2014, the goods buried were rumored to be unsold copies of E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Yes.
So this is the one that gets around. Basically, everyone assumes because
it was a flop. It was unplayable, and they just had to rush it out because of the movie release.
You're ruining all of the material here, Chris.
Oh, shit, sorry.
All right, well, scores. No.
It's annoying when people know stuff.
Yeah. Well, because I think this is quite a famous one as well, isn't it? I think
it is. Yeah.
I think a lot of our listeners will know this one and know it's I think it's. We'll come to what I was. So it's one of the largest commercial video game failures, and often cited as one of the worst video games ever released. Yeah, the E.T. And the Atari 2600 port of Pac-Man, which was commercially successful, critically maligned. Okay.
Well, it wasn't. It was fine. I used to play that.
Yeah, well, Pac-Man's Pac-Man, isn't it? At the end of the day,
Pac-Man is little bloke running around eating chips or whatever.
Now, since the burial was first reported,
eating ghosts.
exactly. Was first reported, there had been doubts as to its veracity and scope, and it was frequently dismissed as an urban legend. There you go, gets in.
We're in. We're all right.
There's no reference for that claim, but that
Oh,
gets in
Neil,
under the bar for us.
do you mind if I quickly do a piece to camera?
Go for it.
If you're enjoying this, and God knows why would you, please subscribe, and then you can see when stuff's coming in from us, to avoid it if necessary. And if you're on something that you could do comments and all that, then do that as well. Nice
Yeah.
one.
Hit the bell as well. I don't know what the bell is or what it does, but
The bell.
they all say it, don't they? Like,
Hit,
subscribe, or hit the bell.
hit
Is
the
it?
bell.
Oh,
Well, I don't know.
if there's a bell
It,
involved, by all means,
no.
please hit ring or
Yeah.
do something with it.
Or if there's a pub near you called the Bell,
Go
then
down and have a
probably
maybe
go
have
and
some
have a
Bell's
pub.
whiskey.
Ooh, the
Get yourself a
best.
pint and a
Oh, a
yeah,
lovely pint of
a
Bell's
lovely
whiskey. Lovely pint of
throat
Bell's whiskey.
stripping
Mm,
shot of Bell's whiskey.
mm, very nice. The blends.
Mm. There's nothing wrong with a blend now and then. Um, everyone's all single malt now, isn't it? But it's a bit sort of good blended
Um,
whiskey can be all right.
Neil, you know
I
my
like
relation.
Jameson's.
You know my relationship with
Yeah, I know
whiskey.
it's probably not. It's probably best not get into that. Right.
No, I'm
Anyway,
fine. No, but I'm just saying that
yeah.
as someone who had a
None of it
drink.
is a good idea.
No, as someone who had a drinking problem, Bell's was always within reach. Like that was
Yeah.
that, you could always get a Bell's.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you're feeling, fancy,
Well, I was going to say, because my younger day, in her 20s, is kind of
High
like
Commissioner.
Sainsbury's vodka or Sainsbury's
Yes.
whiskey or whatever. Yeah, that's the
Tesco's
real.
own brand. Do you remember when we drank that bottle of Tesco's own brand whiskey in the New Forest?
Yes, went down quite gratefully at the time, I believe.
It was very nice.
I think we may have had a few other
Very
things.
smooth.
Yeah. 3 o'clock in the morning in the New Forest. Don't worry about it. It's
We were
nicely.
we literally sat in a ditch because it was comfy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we kept seeing lights going past on the roads, and we were really confused as
I
to what.
found double vision by that point, so I'd assumed that there were a load of stretch limos.
Yeah,
I
and you were
hadn't
going, oh,
realised
well, I
my
think
sight
Paul
was.
McCartney might have a house or whatever.
Yeah,
But like,
so
obviously, it was probably just the reflective lights on the side of a van or like a lorry.
I think it was partly that. I think it was partly double vision.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, that's between us and the ponies now.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, right. Just from the alcohol. Right. So
Good times.
yes. Blah, blah, blah. So it is an urban legend. So the event became, but I think it's disputed because there are reports of like it was all ET.
Yeah, that's what I'd heard. Or that
we
was
won't tease the
the
listeners.
rumor.
It's but the rumor was it was like millions of unsold ET cartridges. Yeah, we'll get into why the game was crap in a bit, hopefully. Since the burial was first reported, so the event became a cultural icon, a reminder of the video game crash of 1983. So it was the end result of a disastrous fiscal year, which saw Atari Inc. sold off by its parent company, Warner Communications. They still sort of exist at the Atari, but it's just basically as a brand now, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm sure I've seen it on something.
I mean, they kept bringing out consoles up until I think the last one was it the Atari Jaguar.
Okay.
The Atari Jaguar, which was technically really, really good, but by that point they'd kind of lost the market to Sega and Nintendo and
it kind of rebooted again, didn't it, with Nintendo. It's interesting these sort of trends because I'm sure you know this one as well. But because Nintendo obviously they became like the biggest company in the world then in the mid '80s when the second generations or whatever next generation came out, and then got Sony to produce like a CD system for them, a bit like the Genesis had the Sega CD or
Mega CD.
Yeah, or Mega CD. Mega Drive, as it was called in this country. I don't know what's given
not Genesis.
American name. It was Genesis in America.
I knew it was called the Genesis in America because that was how it was always advertised in superhero comics.
Yeah.
And when people were trying to sell Game Genie, if you remember that. It's one for the
that was
for the old
so
hits.
You could cheat codes and things like that, wasn't it? But Nintendo kind of shafted Sony, pulled out of the deal, didn't want to do it. And so what did they do with that, Chris?
I think they probably just gave up and got rid of the CD in favour of the mini disc.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was what they then created the PlayStation. Back in that,
Oh,
and they became the market leaders.
silly Nintendo.
They,
Arrogance of youth.
well, this is the thing, isn't it? You get basically all of these,
Nintendo's like started in like 1880 as like a pachinko machine
yeah, there's like
manufacturer.
card games and all sorts of stuff
Yeah,
like
like
that. Yeah,
yeah, toys and
yeah. Any kind of.
automatons. Yeah,
I quite like. I mean, they do have a bit of corporate arrogance sometimes, but I quite like their design philosophy, which is just make things that work, put them together in a way that's kind of that's fun and
yeah.
it's not. I like the fact that they exist. Let me put it like that.
I like the fact they exist because some people aren't like they're good for casual gamers
Yeah,
or for
or
youngsters,
for want a game that's fun.
the mentally feeble. They like Nintendos, don't they?
I like. I'll have a bit of Mario here and there. Now you've not got Sega anymore. I don't know. It's. I think with. I mean, we've both got PlayStations, but I don't know. I think there's too many shooty games and sort of games that are trying to be serious. Like,
Yeah, they've
to be fun at the end of the day.
they've they've yeah, computer game chat with Urban Legends. It feels because
I mean, it is appropriate to the topic in fairness.
we've tried many a times to find good games which we can play over Tinternet with one
Yeah.
another, where it's two people and you're doing missions, right?
Yeah,
And they're very, very few and far
it's
between.
reasonably
Cooperative
good,
games.
good ones.
Yeah.
I think we did a Tom Clancy one, which was pretty boring.
No, we didn't even get no because that no, we didn't do the Tom Clancy one in the end.
There was one shooty one we did there for a while. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah. The one which is in like
Tom Clancy's generic square-jawed American heroes fight in a
it was
post-spanking America.
Yeah, but that was but we weren't we sort of weren't even doing missions with that one really, were we? It was kind of sort of running around a bit.
Well, yeah, you're just kind of like liberating from the other side or something, aren't you? I don't
Rather
really
than it being kind of story-based missions.
Yeah, no, it wasn't story-based, which I prefer. Yeah, I prefer a kind of like a some kind of a narrative, a reason for why I don't know. Nothing wrong with shooting people in the face. Just
The
give me
reason was
to do
because terrorists had taken over the United States or
Oh
something.
yeah, that's right. I'm not on my watch, Chris. I don't think so.
Oh, I know, man. Like I always, because you're a cerebral man, I always thought you'd be like me, which is like, right, how are we going to take this point or whatever? And I'd start talking to you, but trying to make a plan. You'd already run off and
yeah, just getting my leg shot out from under me. There's only
Hail
so
Mary.
much flanking. I like the Hail Mary move constantly.
Yeah, I know you've got one. You have one speed, which is go.
Yeah,
You're very much like Sheen in that way, aren't you? With your banging
Tiger Blood,
eight band rocks or whatever.
Yeah.
Winning.
Right.
Took that to heart.
Well,
Hey Neil,
I was talking, I was listening.
We did the missions.
Yeah, exactly. They got done one way or another.
They got done.
And it's a good job there was a heal functionality.
And we kept saying bad boys whenever we were, just like incessantly.
It seemed like reasonable things to do at the time.
It was fun.
Yeah. I'll give it another go sometime. Right, so
the Division 2 or something.
Oh, that was it. The Division
or
the Division 2, yeah. That was the one. It's reasonably fun. It's just kind of a bit samey.
It's just got boring, because it's
incredibly boring.
It's just
I just get that thing as well where it's like,
it's kind of like
I've got 10 screws. I can trade those for a bottle of water.
Yeah, it's that kind of like
my
I don't like games which just have one sort of very like just one sort of game loop over and over
again. Yeah, a bit of variety is always encouraged. But there you go. That's the
says me
draws the suckers in.
Who's well into Skyrim at the moment. Although I will say fetch missions, I'm just fast traveling now.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I've built a house though, Neil. It's lovely.
I forgot about the whole house thing in Skyrim. I know I got about halfway through and I just couldn't be fucked.
That's fair.
That whole thing where I was like, because I find myself getting into grinding and that and strategies and that's just like, why am I grinding, building daggers or smithing or something? So I can,
Come on, back on topic.
Right, back on topic. So although it was believed that millions of copies of ET were buried, Atari officials later verified the numbers to be around 700,000 cartridges of various games, including ET. So it was the whole
the Superman game was pretty bad.
Yeah,
I had that.
that was PlayStation one, wasn't it? The one
No,
where
no,
was it an Atari one? Okay.
no. Like
Because
really early
yeah,
Superman one on the Atari. Yeah,
I don't think they've ever made a good Superman game. I don't know how you could really. Yeah,
just come up with something new. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. Like Batman had done that, or Spider Man. Right. Anyway,
Well, the problem is if you make someone basically invincible,
Invincible.
so
Yeah. Where's
invincible
the
that you have,
challenge
yeah, that you have to invent a mysterious
thing? Yeah.
substance which makes them not invincible anymore.
Yeah.
In fact, makes them incredibly weak.
Going to be running into a lot of kryptonite.
Oh
This
dear.
mission.
What? Oh, the final mission's in where? Kryptonite City.
You just so happen to have a yeah. So in 2014, Fuel Industries, Microsoft, and others worked with the New Mexico government to excavate the site as part of a documentary, Atari Game Over. It revealed discarded games and hardware. Only a small fraction, about 1,300 cartridges, were recovered, with a portion given for curation, the rest auctioned to raise money for a museum to commemorate the burial. Right.
What?
That seems a bit
Come on.
pointless.
Ugh. Why is that in a museum? Why do you need a museum to go, well, do you know what? Like, we had a really bad year, so we actually just buried loads of stock.
Yeah.
Let's build a museum.
It's that thing as well. It's just kind of, I suppose that this kind of thing would happen less and less these days, everything being digitally
A
stored.
museum to the nonsense of capitalism.
Well, exactly, yeah. Just like I'll just shove it all into a big landfill. I mean, it is. I mean, it is very much, yeah. So let's have a look then. So they got. I'm gonna sweep through the financial difficulty a bit fairly quickly because it's really not interesting. But so they got purchased by Warner Communications. So basically, video become massive.
Mm.
You know, TV company decides they're in the wrong market, so overpays for them basically. But actually, no, they bought them in '76 for 28 million, and their net worth grew to 2 billion in 6 years. So
Not good
okay,
enough, Neil.
that's a
Not
good
good
investment.
enough. Not
Yeah.
good. Not a good enough return on investment.
Um,
Get it
and
buried.
they were 80% of the video game market and over half of the parent company's revenues.
Weren't 90% of it though, were they?
Yeah, exactly. Try harder. So yeah, and then they expected their growth to be 50%. However, reported its earnings have only increased by 10 to 15%. Again,
Terrible.
because things can't grow constantly.
No,
We would learn this lesson, but
no,
apparently
we
not.
haven't. No, we haven't learned that.
No,
Lesson.
never going to learn that.
No, first time it was ever implemented was the island of Madeira, where they got slaves in to cut down all the trees, and then boom, bust, and then they went right, fuck it, we're off to South America now. Haven't learned since then, and that was in the 1400s.
Yeah, we'll crack it one day. Unlimited exponential growth.
Yeah, it's possible.
No, not a problem. When we've got AI building the things and buying the things in a loop.
Yeah.
The next
just exchanging money to itself
completely pointlessly while we work on, you know, human race starve. It would just basically batteries for the AI at this point.
Yeah, but Neil, we had 10%
Worst
GDP
version of the
growth,
Matrix.
so promise fulfilled.
It was Nigel Farage grinning and going, well, I don't see what's wrong with being a human battery. People seem to like those Matrix movies, didn't they? Did you see his whole thing about chlorinated chicken? And he's like, well, chlorinate salad sometimes. If that's okay, what's wrong with chlorinated chicken? I think animal welfare standards should be awful. You should have to.
Well, that's also
have to effectively bleach your meat in order to be able to consume it.
But that's also not the problem, is it? That's also not what the problem is. It's because the fact that they do the chlorination
it's so poorly raised, you have to chlorinate.
You have to do it. Yeah, and most of the time it has to be cooked as well before being sold.
Yeah, it's quite like good, half decent animal welfare standards.
People like swimming, don't they? And swimming pools have chlorine in them. Oh, what are you going to do?
What's wrong with drowning?
What are you going to do? Get rid of children because they've got chlorine on them?
Yeah.
This is woke nonsense.
Yeah, but he likes a beer and a fag, Chris.
He does like a beer and a fag. So he's all right.
So he's all right. This is good. No politics. No politics.
There was no politics. No. I was saying he was all right.
Yeah.
Our new spiritual god.
I definitely didn't bring that up. So,
At least it wasn't me this time.
yeah, I was going to say. So, Atari's tendency to port arcade games for its home console had led to some of the most commercially successful games. So, they did Asteroids,
Mm.
Space Invaders, Pac-Man. I'm
So
going to sort of
Pac-Man,
whatever this.
Battle for
Made
Tanks,
loads and loads of money. Yeah,
Jet Set Willy.
but then yeah, then they decided, yeah, I think so. Yeah, when they got Pac-Man, I think they overspent on that. So they manufactured. I think this is the thing is they manufactured too many cartridges at once.
Right.
You do wonder actually because there's always talk, isn't there, when a new console comes out? It's like, well, why is the supply lower than you'd like? And I think everyone's. Well, that's one thing people have learned out of this is
Well,
don't
it's all
build more
digital
than you
now
can
anyway,
sell.
so.
No, but an actual console,
Oh,
isn't
the
it?
actual consoles, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they manufactured 12 million cartridges despite only having sold 10 million consoles. That should have been a clue.
People really like ET.
Oh no, this was Pac-Man.
Oh, people really like
Like
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man. Yeah, you're not going to buy 1.2 copies for each console, are
Well,
you?
no, what you do is
I'll
you
say that should have been a clue for them.
it's a big outlay. So what you do is you buy the cartridge
Yeah,
and then you can put that on the shelf and that'll inspire you to get your grind on to afford
to
the
earn the
actual
console.
console.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Step by
Yeah,
step, ooh neely,
nice.
gonna get the console girl.
So they thought they were going to make 500 million out of it, and yeah, and they
Sorry.
literally thought it was going to boost sales of the console as well. So that's why they, yeah,
Yeah.
again, yeah, anyway, it's easy in hindsight, isn't it? However, it was critically panned for its poor gameplay when it was released, but it did become the best-selling game, and they did ship 7 million units, but that leaves them with 5 million unsold.
But could they
And
not
also,
just repurpose the cartridges?
and they, I think once they've been built, I'm guessing not.
Were they made out of cogs and shit?
Yeah, also there was a high rate of customers returning the game for refunds. I mean, the plastic probably wasn't recyclable at that point, and
No,
I
but
don't know.
so the plastic cartridge you could apart.
Yeah, maybe there's some metals in there. I'm guessing the costs of doing so at the time would have been
That's
more
all
than just,
cost, isn't it? All cost. Let's just
and
bury it.
then storage costs. So let's just throw
Do you
it
know
all
what
into a big
do
landfill.
you know what we've made a bit of a mistake here? So what we're going to do is we're going to make everyone else suffer.
Yeah, just go and take it out and throw it in the Mariana Trench. It's fine.
Just chuck it in the canal like I
That's
do
what we
with
should do
old
with all the
paint.
plastic. Why don't do that?
Yes, deep enough, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's just full of like stupid looking fish.
Oh,
Fuck 'em.
half of them can't even. Half of them
Yeah,
are blind anyway. They
yeah,
can't. They
exactly.
wouldn't even
Going to
notice.
worry about a few plastic bottles. Get that down there.
Yeah,
There you go. Problem solved.
problem solved. Sit
Yeah.
nuclear waste down there as
There you
well.
go, Greta Thunberg. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, there we go. Do you know what? Do you know
So
what
that
we
never do
do?
you
Do
any favours.
you know what we do? We see a problem. We come up with a solution. We
Yeah.
don't just moan about it.
Right. And then further to the problems caused by, so they've been warned once, they've been stung. So what
Mm.
do you think? And
Double
then
down.
learn their lessons and then
Double down.
apply. No, yeah, double the fuck
Can't
down.
lightning can't strike twice.
Twice now. What's telling us is that actually. So
What it's telling us is like very famously, the people in Atari were constantly on the spliffs and stuff, weren't they? They were like a big
so we're on
sort of
something. Yeah,
on something.
yeah. The
Yeah,
80s, I suspect it would have been
the greenback
like,
spliffs. Do you know what I mean? And the hot tubs, hot city living in the hot tubs, Ferraris coming up to their eyeballs, addicts.
so,
That's
yeah,
what they were.
that was a hell of a drug. So yeah, they're tied in for a version of ET. So they've done a deal between Warner Communications and the director Steven Spielberg, and he's
Mhm.
he
Neil, may I please caution? Okay, we're on very thin ice here.
with the greatest of respect. So again, one of our favourite directors.
He's a wonderful
Um,
man.
yeah, we're not being ironic here, by the way. Either it's not like some
No, I'm not.
edgelord way
Definitely.
of trying to say did generally like Steven Spielberg. Well, I generally like Steven Spielberg. Anyway, yeah, because apparently Atari's Raiders of the Lost Ark. I didn't know there was a game version of Raiders of the Lost Ark. There you
Yeah.
go. Well, actually, that would make
Have you
it
ever
good.
seen the
They got a level
Stevens?
where you have to run away from the boulder. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
That would be lovely, wouldn't it? And you've got to
Another one we've got to punch a
go.
Nazi into a plane motor.
But if the graphics wouldn't have been able to handle that,
No, not probably not.
it would have been like boom, 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 boom. Like
Well, you say that, but I could decapitate a thing in Barbarian on the ZX Spectrum. So
yeah, but the ZX Spectrum was way more powerful than Atari
yeah, that's
2600.
probably true.
We're talking full bit.
Yeah.
Neil, have you ever seen the Steven Spielberg film? Is it called Phantasm or something? Want a ghost one?
Oh, Phantasm. Do you mean the one with the? No, I'm thinking of the like the haunted ball that has a drill that comes
Maybe,
out of it.
maybe.
Uh, That's not
Poltergeist? Did he do that? No,
Poltergeist. I think it
no.
was Toby Hooper. I think Steven Spielberg produced it.
Okay. Have you seen it?
So Toby Hooper's the guy who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay.
Or it might have been Steven Spielberg who did the first one, actually. Toby Hooper might have done it. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, I have seen Poltergeist.
Have you? Is it scary?
It was quite scary when I watched it. I think it was a kid or something. There's
I've always been too scared to watch it.
it's not that scary, but there was one scene, I think I don't know if this was the original or one of the sequels, but like somebody they like vomiting up this creature.
Oh,
It's really good effects work.
like
And
body
it's
horror. Oh,
yeah,
oh,
that's still I reckon that'd still be a pretty gruesome scene.
oh.
Because
That
yeah,
sounds.
it's like literally like this big thing that's like giving birth to out of their mouth. They're sort of throwing it, and it's all slimy and
Neil, do you know what? I'm glad I haven't seen it. That'd give me
yeah.
nightmares.
There you go.
Oh, thank.
You
Do
have
you
to
know
put out a
what?
trigger warning for this episode.
Yeah, I will do. I'll just
Descriptions
put it
of
at the start.
grotesque movie scenes.
I don't know. It'll be blocked by YouTube or something anyway.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah,
Mention of
copyright
the film.
violation. Yeah.
Poltergeist.
Oh yeah, and so the task of developing the game fell on Howard Scott Warshaw, the program for Raiders. Yeah, because I seem to remember. Excuse me, I'm coughing a bit today. Reading a
That's
bit
right,
about
love.
this. Yeah, I think like because Steven Spielberg, because I think obviously he's mates with George Lucas, and Lucas. I mean, there was LucasArts. There was that famous studio that did loads of video games,
Yeah.
wasn't there, back in the day? So I think they were both quite into sort of like all these developing these things, and obviously they knew
Monkey
the commercial
Island.
potential. Yeah, Secret Monkey Island, various other Monkey Island titles, very good.
Yeah.
Tim Schafer, all of those early games he did, and Ron Gilbert. Yeah,
SimCity.
SimCity. Yeah, there was
Yeah.
what was it? Day of the Tentacle.
Day of the Tentacle.
Yeah,
Scary stuff.
some other
Yeah.
Indiana Jonesy things. Something of Atlantis.
Streets of Rage.
Was that LucasArts? I think it was.
No,
No,
none of the ones I'm mentioning were.
fair enough.
I'm being difficult.
You are, aren't you? Yeah,
I
yeah,
well, it's early.
yeah.
I'm a grumpy lad in the mornings
Yeah, you want to start early, right? Anyway, so yeah,
because
I
I've
think
got to get out the woods.
yeah, I know, yeah, I know.
My package is
Between
thinking the flat out.
between a rock and a hard place here. So yeah, I think he's kind of like he's he was involved in the or he'd kind of seen that what this person put
Yeah.
together, and he was like, oh, you're really good, you're really talented. Let's get him on and do this
Who's this
CT game.
guy? Who's this guy?
Yeah, the problem is he was
I
just
like his
one
moxie.
exactly. Yeah.
Hey, you kid, get over here.
And there's some quite interesting. I read some stories about like back in the 80s, like when like people could just program all these things by themselves, and it was
Yeah.
apparently it's very interesting the kind of like characters who would end up with these jobs on these things. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, because you'd have like someone
Yeah,
who'd be
just
like
some blood.
homeless and stuff like this, or just well, all sorts of characters who just ended up kind of like learning to program and then kind of like
Which
made a bit
proves
of money.
which proves conclusively that meritocracy is real.
Yeah, there you go.
There we
So
go.
if it's not working
There you go.
out for you, should have tried that.
Conversation line
Over.
drawn.
Um,
How about work a bit harder?
Yeah.
A little less avocado on toast.
what are those bootstraps for? Pulling yourself up by.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so he programs it, but due to lengthy delays to the licensing rights, he got 5 weeks to program the whole thing.
Yeah.
They could sell it during the holiday period. Again, they probably could have seen this coming, couldn't they? Turns out, rush development resulted in lackluster gameplay. So as I mean, it's now since the worst I've made. I think having seen the videos and stuff on this, again, people probably be aware of this, but it had like 2 modes. There was one where you sort of went around and then dropped down a hole, and there's another one where you try and use your neck to float back out of the hole, and you've got to collect 5 pieces to get to the end or something like that.
That sounds all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds pretty good to be honest with you. That's like Grand Theft Auto 6 would be, I would assume.
I think now that they've paused the release of it, and I'm speculating.
So they can take on some ideas from the likes of us.
It's like, yes, well, they've been on the phone.
direction from, yeah.
So
yeah.
do you know what happened? It's because they had some satirical stuff about stuff that Trump probably wouldn't like, and therefore he'd ban the game. So they're having to redo a load of it. I think that's
Yeah,
probably what's happened.
entirely possible.
Which is why I don't want to blow at a couple of losers like us saying,
Yeah, we'll
guys,
punch it up.
we need a new storyline like that because
We'll punch it up
they're
in a
Scottish,
non-political
aren't
way
they?
for you. Yeah, they are Scottish.
All
Um,
right, is that Neil and Chris there? We need. I've heard you two are a couple of fucking bun cakes. Would you mind coming up and writing some storylines for us? Because the wee man over there, he's not going to like what we got, so we're gonna have to shelve it for another 4 or 5 months.
yeah,
And
see what he calls and we
we
come
went,
in.
all right, yeah, don't mind.
Yeah.
You offering minimum wage? And I went, no, we can't have that. We can't afford that.
Tips only.
Yeah, tips only. Tips only.
Fair enough. Beggars can't be choosers.
All right, fair enough. Look, lads, if the game goes well, you could be looking at a 3-figure payout here.
Yeah.
We were like, whoa, okay.
Oh, not too shabby.
3 figures.
Someone's going to be eating this Christmas. Right. So critically panned, rushed, and to be fair, they learned the lesson a little bit. So they only matched 5 million cartridges for this incredibly shitty game.
Mm.
However, upon its release in December 82, only 1.5 million copies are sold. So they didn't have that
All
many
of which
left.
are returned.
Yeah, all they're just like, let's show it. So they've been confident in strong sales, and they told their distributors to place their orders all at once. However, with the sales slowing, they ordered en masse in expectation of high turnover, and then were left to simply return large quantities of unsold stock. So they then found themselves in possession of several million essentially useless video game cartridges, which they'd be entirely unable to sell.
Right.
So yes, apparently you probably couldn't recycle them. So yeah,
I mean, you're saying that, Neil, but you're basing it on now, right? There's a good chance. Like, does it
you
say
probably could have
these were
done.
unrecyclable?
Yeah,
People weren't recycling back in '83. Everything just went in
didn't care, did
landfill,
they?
didn't it?
Yeah.
Whatever. Doesn't matter. Huh. Well,
What's going to happen?
here today, gone tomorrow.
There's plenty of space in New Mexico.
Hey, hey, go and get me a fucking Viennetta. I'm feeling really down. A Viennetta made of cocaine.
Nice. Vanilla, mint, and cocaine, please.
Hmm.
So, in 1983, the Alamogordo Daily News of Alamogordo, New Mexico, reported in a series of articles that between 10 and 20 semi-trailer trackloads of Atari boxes, cartridges, and systems. So, all of the ones, they're not even selling the sort of the systems these either. So,
I mean,
all
like,
going, yeah, we're all getting crushed and buried in a landfill at the
do
South
you know
City.
what? Do you know who would have probably quite liked them? Like fucking orphanages or like
You
hospitals,
think, yeah, you could have done
children's
something like that.
hospitals,
Yeah,
something like that. No, no, because if we do that, then they won't buy one. So
they
yeah,
definitely
but you're
won't buy
throwing it
one.
away anyway. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What a world.
Grapes of Wrath, Chris,
The grapes
with
of all
video
my
games.
wrath.
They liked it because it was chosen because there was no scavenging allowed and its garbage was crushed and buried nightly. Actually, there was a point where, and I don't know what this was, but I heard about Guitar Center. They were getting rid of stock
Hmm.
and they were throwing like Gibson Les Pauls into bins, but
Locking them.
there was a spate of people nicking it. Well, not nicking them, but just take, well, whatever you call it.
So they started dusting them with fentanyl.
Well, no. They literally they were then instructed to basically just smash into pieces, basically, so people couldn't recover and just. Why they were chucking away good stock, I have no idea, but
Capitalism.
perfectly safe. Yeah, exactly.
It just makes sense.
Yeah. So the news service UPI reported that people watching the operation said it included cassettes of ET, Pac-Man, and Ms. Pac-Man.
Oh, not Miss Pac-Man. She was my first crush.
Well, this is good. The news service Night Ridder further reported I'm going to look this up.
Will say, Neil,
It's just making me think about talking cars all of a sudden.
We are on the clock.
Right, fair enough. I shall speed up.
Well, no, just stick to the story as much as possible.
All right, fair enough. Anyway, yeah, kids in the town of 25,000 began robbing the Atari grave, coming up with cartridges of games.
No, can I just say, remember that we're also recording this, so going to just non-screen isn't good. There we go. Hey, it's a learning curve.
Yes, I know that. Yeah, so yeah. Anyway, so this news service reports that the dump was looted on September the 20th by local kids in the stating kids in the town of 25,000 began robbing the Atari grave, coming
How
up with
many of them were
cartridges.
shot?
Well, doesn't say.
Hmm.
Yeah, such as ET,
Let's just say
Radio
the
Lost
town
Ark,
isn't there
Defender of
anymore.
Berserk. Yeah, exactly. So even like their popular games, they're shoving in there as well, like Raiders of the Lost Ark. So you kind of think, well, I don't
It
know
feels
long
like
term.
it feels like an overreaction.
Yeah, I don't know.
It feels like someone's been having too many
The
cocaine
storage
Viennettas.
costs that high. I suppose that was the point, wasn't it? It's because they figured they'd offload it all on the distributors. They'd have the storage costs, and then it'd just sell it eventually. But yeah,
Get rid of it. Just get rid of those ETs. Get rid of it. Right, just go landfill.
it's a bold
Landfill.
decision.
Just get rid of them. Get rid of them. What about the rest of stuff? Get rid of it all. Just get rid of it. Just get rid of everything. Get rid of everything. Shred all the files. Get rid of everything. Torch the factory.
You're like this.
But last year we still made like a 15% profit. I don't care. Get rid of it all.
Yeah. Take the entire company.
Bin it. Bin it.
So it's literally their strategy.
I'm changing my name. I'm changing my name
Take
after
our
Mexico.
entire stock and kind of bury it in the fucking
Bury
desert.
it. Just do it. Get rid of it. You know, it's all over. Everything's finished. It's all over.
Well, it's a bold corporate move. It's panned out. Valuable earned from bonus this year. I'll never thank Quentin Chips the Third. Bold strategy up his hand. I don't know why he speaks like that in America. Anyway, whatever.
Presumably, he was an ex-Tory PM who's on the board over there, like on all of their worst companies. Oh, John Major. Oh, he talks a lot of sense now, doesn't he? Have you seen him when he makes his money?
Yeah. Oh, and what's the old ex-Lib Dem leader? He's now
Like
the PR for Facebook.
Facebook, yeah. They were in politics to improve the lives of the populace.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why can't you understand that? It's really difficult to live on the salary which you continue getting even when you've left, like 85,000.
Can't live on 100 grand a year, Chris.
Well, I mean, you could, but you wouldn't want. You'd rather be dead.
Yeah. Please.
Come on.
So the discarded inventory supposedly came from their plant in El Paso, which has been closed and converted to a recycling facility. Could have recycled some of this fucking shit. Yeah. Anyway, the site was guarded to prevent reporters and public from affirming the contents. And yada yada. It's just lots and lots of is it ET or not? And then starting in September 29th, 1983, a layer of concrete was poured on top of all the crushed materials.
Good, finally.
An anonymous workman's stated reason for the concrete was there are dead animals down there. We didn't want any children to get hurt digging the dump.
There's dead children down there, isn't there?
Apparently, yeah. There's a lot of stuff down there.
There's a lot of. Do you know what?
Do you know what? I'm going to stop.
The desert knows how to keep its mouth shut, Neil. That's what I've always said.
Yeah. Start our own urban legend here. I think there was something else going on at Atari.
Of course, there was something going on. Yeah.
Believability 0 because this was a cover.
Just absolutely.
I'm going to go full Alex Jones on this. This is absolutely a false flag up.
You do not go and bury your entire stock and then
I don't know what was in that fucking warehouse, but it needed burying under concrete.
Let's just say it may not have
radioactive barrels or a lot of corpses.
Let's just say it may not have been of this world, Neil. Maybe we could ask. Was it?
It truly was an extraterrestrial. That was a twist.
Yeah, we could ask Nick Pope, couldn't we? Yeah. The highly sexy British ex-UFO person who's on all the American stuff, who has the theme tune. Ooh.
They brought in David Copperfield to cover up for them, and he's like, the perfect illusion. I want to get rid of an extraterrestrial. We'll pretend it's a load of extraterrestrial game cartridges.
Because then if there is a slip of the tongue, you could go, we buried all those aliens there, and people would go, what? And you go, the computer game?
Asking you to lie? No, sir. Merely a lie of omission. Quite different.
The best lie is built on truth.
One cannot perjure oneself. That's true. Yeah. So there you go. That's our theory.
That's our theory.
Getting rid of a bunch of extraterrestrials. because that's why it was such a successful
It's in New
game. It
Mexico,
was
so
built. It was built on alien technology. That's why it was so ahead of its time.
the Atari 2600s.
Yeah, that's why it was such amazing future technology.
That's why those bricks keep crashing.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, we've made it. Oh, brilliant! Oh, we've made it 200 light years. Straight.
Straight 10.
Bang.
It's the landing that's hardest.
Oh, there's no wind where we come from.
Little could they know. So yeah. Anyway, so people started getting really annoyed about the dumping that they're doing. Funnily enough, and they didn't want it to become an industrial waste dump for El Paso, so they ordered an end to the dumping shortly afterwards, and then passed an emergency management act to limit future flexibility of the garbage contractor to
There's a
basically
lot of there's a lot of emergency acts and all this
yeah,
kind of stuff happening around here, isn't there?
interesting.
Oh, and it's designated as a military site now,
Yeah.
surprisingly.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Just happens to have changed hands. So all these factors led to
To
widespread.
Palantir.
Yeah.
Palantir owned it now.
So most of the 3.5 million unsold copies of ET ultimately wound up in the landfill. And apparently also prototypes for a proposed Atari MindLink controller system. So I think they had all sorts of unsellable crap. Or again,
MindLink?
Atari MindLink. Let's have a quick look.
Yeah, you just plug
It
it
looks
straight
just
into
like
the
a
nuts.
headband.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Um,
You could play Pong with it. I think I've seen that. It was like
Supposedly, yeah, like literally it can.
you could think, yeah,
You could think and it would make things go
yeah.
up or down or whatever.
Yeah, it was very
Interesting. Yeah,
limited, but yeah,
using electrical was quite ahead of its time then.
it's
Probably not at all fun.
it's actually more advanced than Neuralink.
Mm.
And they killed far less monkeys.
And writing for the Pacific Historical Review, John Willis speculated that the location's place in the public psyche, its proximity to the sites of both the Trinity nuclear test and the Roswell UFO incident aid the popularity of the story. Yeah, but nobody's joined the dots but us on this.
No one's joining the dots.
Lazy conspiracy theorists.
Well, it's because everyone's siloed.
We've uncovered they're just not.
They're siloed.
Lateral thinking.
Sometimes you need a couple of people a bit above it to be able to form these connections.
Yeah.
Okay. You need someone.
We had no skin in the game. We no predefined conclusions.
No predefined. You need someone sometimes with an 1,000-foot overview to make the connections, Neil.
Indeed.
Okay.
Indeed.
And that's what you and I excel at. Which is why this podcast is selling like hotcakes.
Yes, it's just so. The conflicting information surrounding the burial led to the claim of it being an ET dump being referred to as an urban legend, which in turn led to a degree of skepticism and doubt over the veracity of the dumping story itself. It's just
all CIA,
Layers within layers.
Yeah. I think we need to come back to this one after, well, I mean, obviously neither of us would be allowed to enter America, but I mean, at some point in the future, maybe.
Maybe, go and have a look at it ourselves.
Well,
already done so, but yeah.
I was going to say start digging, but we wouldn't get anywhere near it, would we?
No.
Sniper alley.
Yeah.
Especially with the size of our heads.
Yeah. Wouldn't even need a scope.
No. You do it with a shotgun for 400 yards.
So the original program had expressed doubts that there was destruction of millions of them. And their downfall was also believes their downfall was more a result of their business practices, including alleged block booking of poorly selling games when successful ones were dealing with distributors. So basically, they just acted like corporate arseholes.
Yeah.
Anyway, that became a massive cultural symbol of the video game crash of '83, cited as a cautionary tale about hubris of poor business practices. I think we can all agree with that.
I think do you know what? I think the lesson was very well taken and learned.
Although it says, despite suggestions that the burial allowed the company to write off the disposed of material for tax relief purposes. So actually it was a canny move after all. There you go.
Of course it was.
And bury some bodies at the same time. That's what I call a win.
Metaphorically.
Metaphorically and literally. Oh, no, just metaphorically. Anyway, in popular culture, it's been referenced numerous times, and a music video for the song When I Wake Up by Wintergreen. They travel to the site and dig up some cartridges. That sounds like an exciting music video. A novel called Lucky Wonder Boy by D.B. Weiss features a scene in which takes in Alamogordo, in which two of the characters discuss a parking lot. It was there's a film called Angry Video Game Nerd the movie. I'm not even going to talk about
Nope.
that. No, thank you. Uh, and it was in a elementary of episode of Elementary as well.
Ah,
So
that's
they've been
okay.
referenced in a few. Yeah,
Elementary's okay.
I've never seen an episode. I've heard good things about it though.
Yeah, it's
A
okay.
Sherlock Holmes type thing, isn't it?
Yeah, Johnny Lee Miller and
Johnny Miller and Lucy
Lucy
Liu.
Liu.
Yeah, no, I've heard good things about it, but I've just it's too many
And that
programs. Not enough
Australian
time.
guy who's got the walnut face, who's in
Blimey.
what's that one?
Is it
Which
Ray from Home
no, what's the one with Leonard Nimoy's also in it, and it's about sort of
Fringe?
yeah.
Oh,
There's the
Walter.
old guy.
Walter. Something. He was in
Yeah,
Lord of the Rings as well. Yeah, I
yeah,
forget.
yeah.
Oh, he's a
He's
good
in
actor. He is.
he
Oh,
plays Holmes's brother.
sorry, just need to stand up for a second. Yes. Mycroft or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Mycroft. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays him.
Oh, yeah, I know the guy you mean. He's a good actor. I quite like Fringe, but anyway, right on the clock. Yeah, and then I did an excavation in 2013. Didn't find any aliens or bodies. Yeah, didn't look hard enough.
Yeah.
Should have got Time Team down there.
Oh,
You'd have to done a bit more geofizz.
Yeah,
What do you
geofizz.
think's going to happen here to me? Going to find some.
Yeah. Have you?
I reckon this wardrobe. Probably some dead prostitutes in there. There's some aliens in here and some radioactive.
This cup says I'm with stupid on it.
Yeah.
It's clearly from the 1980s.
And there's a baggie of it's like quite primo cocaine.
Yeah, I'll be bagging that up myself. Nothing like a nice, warm, real ale in the sunshine and an 8 ball.
That's very much the John Belushi.
That's how we do it in 48 hours.
That is it. That's how.
Come on, let's score it.
Yes, yeah, we'll go there. I think there's not much more to say about it, really.
Okay, Neil, on to the scores. Come on. What are we looking at? Spookiness.
Yeah, this is. I mean, on the face of it, I think it's going to be a fairly spooky one, but corporate hubris, that's pretty spooky for me. So,
fortunately,
didn't learn the lessons. I'm going to have to give it a 7.
So...
Also, ET creeps me out a little bit.
Look, what about him?
It's just that head colour, that emaciated kind of body.
I like it. Okay, so spookiness. So, yeah, I mean, like the whole. Well, I guess that they would say worse insurance write-off or whatever.
Tax write-off, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess the thing that a tax write-off rather than maybe giving the stuff to underprivileged kids or something, that is quite spooky. But also, it's not just Atari stuff down there. I think that's very clear. Like you don't concrete over it and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot going on there which people aren't looking into. So I'm going to go with you now. I'm going to give it 7. Believability. I mean, I don't believe any of it. No, not really. It's a 10, isn't it? Because it happens.
Yeah.
So...
I'm going to give it a 9 because thinking that it's the only thing that happened, clearly they're covering up something else. So that's the only reason.
Okay, that's fair enough. Narrative premise.
They want me to believe it's the only thing that happened, Chris. And I know that there's more. Okay. Just got cartridges and those landfills.
I mean, I'm giving it a 10, so that I can go about my business without them keeping an eye on me.
Fair enough. Yeah. That's when I know when I'm being followed.
Red herring.
Yeah. Narrative premise. Probably weak on this one. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a certain amount you could do about kind of like a tale of corporate hubris and all the rest of it. You could, you could make a series of. You could probably make like a documentary or a film about it, which people probably have done.
Yeah, that's why I know about it.
Yeah, it's not too bad actually. I'm going to give it a 6 here. There's not loads, but I think it's quite an interesting case study in and of itself. How these things can go wrong. You're in a position of absolute dominance, and you absolutely fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's always interesting for people and something to learn from.
There's absolutely no parallels happening at the moment.
No.
So yeah, I think so. It's not like a wonder. It's not a wondrous tale.
No.
But
Tale
Um,
for our times, maybe.
it is a tale for our times. And it's got that nostalgia because
Mm. Oh, 80s
from
vibes. So you can just
got
get a load of
80s
like,
vibes,
yeah, the Stranger
just
Things
do
type thing. Yeah.
synths over the top,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. And if you expanded it a little bit into kind of the realms where we're poking about,
exactly.
it's all right. So I'll probably give it a 7. This is going to be a high scorer.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. What's
Reach.
Reach? I think this is quite high. I think it's not. It's definitely not Nelly or the old test we normally do, which is would your mum have heard of it?
No,
I think it's more beyond a certain age. You're not going to have heard of this, but if you grew up, if you're 50 or below, I think you've heard of this
you
pretty
reckon?
much. I think largely you have. If you're English or American, and probably plenty of other places.
Maybe if you're a gamer, I think I'm
Yeah,
not. I
I think
think
I'm going to give it a 7 because I think, but no, it's also just for generally
yeah,
through by osmosis and stuff like that. It's been on articles by the BBC. It's been referred to over so many different like news sources. It's been articles about it in the Guardian, all sorts. So yeah, it's been all over different things. Just as an element of because yeah, it's the thing they will say is about video games that it's worth more than kind of supposedly the amount of money in it. It's worth as much as kind of like Hollywood or whatever these days.
everything else put together.
Yeah, and I think they are quite big.
They are. So I'm going to go a little bit lower because I think people who are interested in computer games will have heard of it, but maybe not younger people who like computer games and stuff. I think
Maybe not.
maybe people of our sort of we're right bang in the middle of the sort of demographic
Yeah, yeah.
who know about it. So um, I'm going to give it a 5 now.
Fair
So
dues.
that gives us an overall score of 62.
Well,
That's really,
one of the
really,
higher ones.
really, really high.
Yeah.
That's right
Didn't
up
think
there.
it was going to be a particularly big one this week. Well, there you go.
Well, I think once you sort of
When you uncover, you
cheat,
got to peel the onion.
you have to peel the onion,
It's the
and
thing
also,
with world's most haunted house. You'd
mhm,
think that would be awesome.
yeah,
No, it's just a lodge getting his
70s
jollies off
sex
with a
comedy.
wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
This you'd think, oh well,
Fearless.
what's yeah, fearless. This, well, what's there to it? And there you go. Just goes to show. Don't judge a
I
book by its
think,
cover.
I think that, I think that it being based in reality does kind of it skews the numbers a little bit. It actually
Possibly.
existing when because that gives it a massive advantage over everything else.
Then normally you don't get the spookiness, do you? Or the narrative. Yeah.
But I mean, I think the spookiness would depend on who you asked.
That's true, yeah. Other
Because
people's
if you
views.
asked like I don't
Sounds
know,
like good behavior to me. It sounds like
so
efficient use of then tax shit to me.
I'll tell you what's spooky, not getting that written off for tax.
Yeah.
That's what's spooky, making a loss. Do you know what's really spooky? Angry shareholders.
Yeah.
Do you know what's really spooky? Having a slightly reduced bonus this year. Scares the hell out of me. So, yeah, I think that's in the eye of the beholder, the
Yeah.
spookiness.
In fairness, yeah.
Um, but that's people know who we are by this
Yeah.
point. So that's it for this week's Urban Legends. We'll be back with one next week, which will involve the paranormal
Yeah.
and
Banging on normal stomping grounds.
back on our normal stomping
Got to
grounds.
got to mix them up a little bit, haven't you? Eh?
Oh, mate, that's you know what? That's what makes our podcast so refreshing.
It's our USP.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, like a
Never know where you are.
delicious iced
Sometimes in the
tea.
middle of a sentence.
Yeah,
Don't know what's
it's
going
very
on.
confusing.
Yeah.
Like a delicious, like, do you know what? It's as refreshing as a delicious roast dinner whilst watching Only Fools and Horses in Benidorm.
Oh,
Mm.
what could be
So
finer?
that's it for this week. We'll be back next Thursday and hit all the stuffs. And there's a Ko-fi if you're at all interested. But you know,
It's all
I know
good.
time are hard and that. So we'll see you
Thanks
next
for watching
week,
or listening.
and we
Cheers.
love you.
See you next week. Goodbye.